Lewes. Lewes is the county town of the administrative county of East Sussex, in England, and historically of all of Sussex. It is a civil parish and is the centre of the Lewes local government district. The settlement has a history as a bridging point and as a market town, and today as a communications hub and tourist-orientated town. At the 2001 census it had a population of 15,988. History. Archaeological evidence points to prehistoric dwellers in the area. Scholars think that the Roman settlement of Missjensen was here, as quantities of artifacts have been discovered in the area. The Saxons built a castle, having first constructed its moat as a defensive point over the river. They gave the town its name. After the Norman invasion, William the Conqueror rewarded William de Warenne, 1st Earl of Surrey, with the rape of Lewes, a swathe of land along the River Lewes from the coast to the Surrey boundary. Lewes was the site of a mint during the late Anglo-Saxon period and thereafter a mint during the early years after the Norman invasion. In 1148 the town was granted a charter by King Stephen. The town became a port with docks along the Lewes River. The town was the site of the Battle of Lewes between the forces of Henry III and Simon de Montfort in the Second Barons' War in 1264, at the end of which de Montfort's forces were victorious. The battle took place in fields now just west of Landport. At the time of the Marian persecutions of 1555 to 1557, Lewes was the site of the execution of 17 Protestant martyrs, who were burned at the stake in front of the Star Inn. This structure is now the town hall. A memorial to the martyrs was unveiled on Cliff Hill in 1901. Through the 17th and 18th centuries, Lewes developed as the county town of East Sussex, expanding beyond the line of the town wall. It was an active port and developed related iron, brewing and shipbuilding industries. In 1846 the town became a railway junction, with lines constructed from the north, south and east to 2 railway stations. The development of Newhaven ended Lewes's period as a major port. During the Crimean War, some 300 Finns serving in the Russian army captured at Bomarsund were imprisoned at Lewes. Lewes became a borough in 1881. Governance. The name Lewes is also the name of the parliamentary constituency and the local district council as well as Lewes Town Council. Lewes is also where the East Sussex County Council has its main offices, located at County Hall in St Anne's Crescent. Lewes District Council is administered from offices in Southover House on Southover Road. Lewes Town Council is based in the Town Hall on Lewes High Street. For many years, Lewes was dominated by the Conservatives, both at local and national levels. In 1991, however, the Liberal Democrats won the district council for the first time, and the constituency returned a Liberal Democrat MP for the first time in 1997. The Conservatives won control of the district council in 2011, and strengthened this position in 2015. They also won back the parliamentary seat in the 2015 election with Maria Caulfield defeating the incumbent Liberal Democrat of 18 years, Norman Baker by 1,083 votes. In organisational terms, Lewes became one of the non-county boroughs within the then Sussex East County under the Local Government Act 1933. In 1974, Lewes District Council was formed on 1 April 1974 by the Local Government Act 1972, and was a merger of the former borough of Lewes along with Newhaven and Seaford Urban Districts and Chailey Rural District. The election in 2015 was the first time in which Green councillors had been elected to the Lewes District Council, all from the wards in the town of Lewes. The Lewes councillor elected to the District Council, Ruth O'Keefe, was elected as chair of the council. The town of Lewes became a civil parish with the title of town. There are 3 wards: Bridge, Castle and Priory, each being served by 6 councillors. Lewes Town Council is one of the 300 largest of the roughly 9,800 parish councils in England and Wales, with expenditure budgeted at just over £1 million. In the 2015 elections for Lewes Town Council, the Green Party became the largest party with 9 seats, and the Liberal Democrat numbers fell from 11 to 6. 3 independents were elected. The town mayor for 2015-16 is Councillor Susan Murray and the deputy mayor is Imogen Makepeace, both from the Green Party. The representation from Lewes wards at local government levels, as at the latest elections, is as follows. Lewes Town Council, Lewes District Council, East Sussex County Council. On the 31st of March 2009, Hilary Benn, Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, announced his decision to confirm the designation of the South Downs National Park, which came into being exactly 1 year later and includes the town of Lewes within its boundaries. Geography. You can see Lewes lying like a box of toys under a great amphitheatre of chalk hills. On the whole, it is set down better than any town I have seen in England. William Morris Lewes is situated on the Greenwich Meridian, in a gap in the South Downs, cut through by the River Lewes, and near its confluence with the Winterbourne stream. It is approximately 7 miles north of Newhaven, and an equal distance northeast of Brighton. The South Downs rise above the river on both banks. The High Street, and earliest settlement, occupies the west bank, climbing steeply up from the bridge, taking its ancient route along the ridge. The summit on that side, 2.5 miles distant, is known as Mount Harry. On the east bank there is a large chalk Cliff Hill that can be seen for many miles, part of the group of hills including Mount Caburn, Malling Down and Golf Hill. The 2 banks of the river are joined by Willys Bridge, the Phoenix Causeway and Cliff Bridge. The High Street runs from Eastgate to Westhout, forming the spine of the ancient town. Cliff Hill gives its name to the one-time village of Cliff, now part of the town. The southern part of the town, Southover, came into being as a village adjacent to the priory, south of the Winterbourne stream. At the north of the town's original wall boundary is the St. John's Orples area, home to several 19th-century streets and the Pools Pond. The Pools Pool, built in 1860, is the oldest freshwater lido in England. The Phoenix Industrial Estate lies along the west bank of the river and contains a number of light industrial and creative industry uses, as well as car parks and a fire station. A potential regeneration project, the North Street Quarter, for the area would be the largest in Lewes since the South Malling residential area was developed in the 1950s and 1960s and in the South Downs since it became a national park. Malling lies to the east of the river and had 18th and 19th century houses and 2 notable breweries. Road engineering and local planning policy in the 1970s cleared many older buildings here to allow the flow of traffic. It now goes along Little East Street, across the Phoenix Bridge and through the Gulfale Tunnel to join the A27. The town boundaries were enlarged twice, in 1881 and 1934. They now include the more modern housing estates of Wallands, South Malling, Neville, Lansdowne, and Cranedown on the Kingston Road. Countryside walks can be taken starting from several points in Lewes. One can walk over Mount Caburn to the village of Glynde starting in Cliff, traverse the Lewes Brooks from Southover, walk to Kingston near Lewes also from Southover, head up Landport Bottom to Mount Harry and Blackhap along the edge of the old Lewes racecourse, or wander up along the Ouse to Hamsey Place from the Pells. The South Downs Way crosses the Ouse just south of Lewes at Southease and hikers often stop off at the town. Natural sites and events. 3 sites of special scientific interest lie within the parish: Lewes Downs, Lewes Brooks and Sotherham Works Pit. Lewes Downs is a site of biological interest, an isolated area of the South Downs. Lewes Brooks, also biological importance, is part of the floodplain of the River Ouse, providing a habitat for many invertebrates such as water beetles and snails. Sotherham Works Pit is of geological interest, a disused chalk pit displaying a wide variety of fossilized fish remains. The Railway Land Nature Reserve is on the east side of the town, next to the Ouse, and contains an area of woodland and marshes, which now includes the Heart of Reeds, a sculpted reed bed designed by local land artist Chris Drury. The Winterbourne Stream, a tributary of the Ouse, flows through it. This stream flows most winters and dries up in the summer, hence its name. It continues through Lewes, going through the Grange Gardens and often travelling underground. The Heart of Reeds is one of the sites in East Sussex and Kent home to the marsh frog, an introduced species. It is popular with pond dippers and walkers. A centre for the study of environmental change is due to be built at the entrance to the nature reserve. On the 27th of December 1836, an avalanche occurred in Lewes, the worst ever recorded in Britain. A large build-up of snow on the nearby cliff slipped down onto a row of cottages called Bolter's Row. About 15 people were buried, and 8 of these died. A pub in South Street is named the Snowdrop in memory of the event. On the 21st of August 1864, Lewes experienced an earthquake measuring 3.1 on the Richter magnitude scale. In October 2000, the town suffered major flooding during an intense period of severe weather throughout the United Kingdom. The commercial centre of the town and many residential areas were devastated. In a government report into the nationwide flooding, Lewes was officially noted the most severely affected location. As a result of the devastation, the Lewes Flood Action Group formed, to press for better flood protection measures. Climate in this area has mild differences between highs and lows, and there is adequate rainfall year-round. The Köppen climate classification subtype for this climate is CFB. Religious buildings. Church of England Street. Michael's is located at the top of the High Street and like Street. Peter's in nearby Southeast. It has a round tower. Its length runs along the street rather than away from it, and the cemetery is separated from the High Street by stone walls with iron railings on top. Next to it is a building which is used upstairs as a Sunday school. Further west is St. Anne's, a quiet church surrounded by its graveyard, which gives its name to the street it is on. St. John sub Castro is the northernmost church in the Old Town. The surrounding town quarter is called St. John's. The church's boundaries are actually protected on one side by the town walls, although originally St. John's was a small Saxon building. It was destroyed in the 19th century, but the main door was kept and used as an east door for the large new church, built in 1839 by George Cheeseman in flint and brick. In the graveyard there is a memorial to the Finnish prisoners kept in the old naval prison in the 19th century. St. John's Church Hall is a couple of streets away in Talbot Terrace. In Cliff there is St. Thomas a Becket's, where the Orthodox community also worship. In Southover, St. John the Baptist's is located on Southover High Street. The nave incorporates the hospitium of the Priory of St. Pancras. Neighbouring it is Church End, and down the road at St. James Street cul-de-sac, the Church Hall. In its grounds is the Southover War Memorial, which is distinct from the main Lewes War Memorial. St. Michael, South Malling dates from 1628 and was once in a village of its own. The development of the suburbs has connected South Malling to Lewes, although the church main attends its village setting by the River Ouse, with the neighbouring rectory. Deconsecrated All Saints is next to the site of a priory of Greyfriars, the only relic of which is an archway at the end of the church boundary wall, which is on the line of the town wall. The medieval tower survives, abutting a later brick nave by Eamon Wilds and 19th-century Gothic-styled chancel. This church is now deconsecrated and serves as a community arts space, managed by the town council. Roman Catholic. The Roman Catholic Church is dedicated to St. Pancras in memory of the priory and is a red brick building over the street from St. Anne's. Nonconformist. The Religious Society of Friends is a Quaker meeting house next to the former All Saints Church on Friars Walk. The Regeneration Chapel, off Malling Street, is a Grade I listed building, being a rare survivor of its type dating from 1805. It now houses the Lewes Free Presbyterian Church. Westgate Chapel is a 16th-century building located in a yard at the top of the High Street, so called because of its position at the old west gate of the town wall. The chapel first officially opened for worship as Westgate Meeting in 1700 as English Presbyterian, but soon joined by an independent congregation. Its liberal stance allowed it to become a Unitarian church by 1820 and is still a Unitarian chapel today. Eastgate Chapel is a very different building, the neo-Norman design of 1843 in dark flint. It originally had a pepper-pot dome, but this was removed in favor of a traditional spire in case traffic vibrations below made it fall off. A modern extension was added to the church. Christ Church Hall, a modern building, serves both the United Reformed Church and the Methodist worshippers. Southover General Baptist Chapel was built in Eastport Lane in 1741. The congregation's views moved towards Unitarianism, and in the 19th century they joined Westgate Chapel. The building has been a house since 1972, but had various religious and secular uses before that. Demography. In 2001, the service industries were by far the biggest employers in Lewes. Over 60% of the population working in that sector. A little over 10% were employed in manufacturing, mostly in the smaller industrial units, particularly those in the Mallings Business Centre. The town is a net daytime exporter of employees with a significant community working in London and Brighton, whilst it draws in employees of the numerous local government and public service functions on which its local economy is strongly dependent. An important part of the town's economy is based on tourism, because of the town's many historic attractions and its location. As referenced in the governance section, the town is also where 3 tiers of local government have their headquarters, and the head office of Sussex Police is also in Lewes. Lewes Bonfire. The town's most important annual event is the Lewes Bonfire celebrations on the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Night. In Lewes, this event not only marks the date of the uncovering of the gunpowder plot in 1605, but also commemorates the memory of the 17 Protestant martyrs burnt at the stake for their faith during the Marian persecutions. The celebrations, which controversially involve burning an effigy of Pope Paul V, who was pope during the martyrdoms, are the largest and most famous bonfire night celebrations in the country. Economy. The Lewes Chamber of Commerce represents the traders and businesses of the town. The town has been identified as unusually diversified with numerous specialist, independent retailers, counter to national trends toward chain retailers and large corporate retail outlets. Lewes Farmers Market, one of the first in the UK, was started in the 1990s by Common Cause Cooperative Limited and is a popular reinvention of Lewes as a market town. The Farmers Market takes place in pedestrianised Cliff High Street on the first and third Saturdays of every month, with local food producers coming to sell their wares under covered market stalls. A weekly food market in the Lewes Market Tower was established in July 2010 by Transmission Town Lewes to allow traders to sell local produce. Occasionally French traders from the twin town of Blois attend, vending on Cliff Bridge. From 1794 beers, wines and spirits were distributed from Lewes under the Harvey's name, and the town is today the site of Harvey & Sons Brewery, celebrated as one of the finest ale producers in England. In September 2008, Lewes launched its own currency, the Lewes Pound, in an effort to increase trade within the town. 1 Lewes pound is equal to £1. Like the similar local currency in Totnes, the initiative is part of the Transition Towns movement. The Lewes pound and the transition towns movement have received criticism for a failure to address the needs of the wider Lewes population, especially lower socio-economic groups. Such local currency initiatives have been more widely criticized in light of limited success stimulating new spending in local economies and as an unrealistic strategy to reduce carbon emissions. The Lewes pound can be exchanged for the same amount of pounds sterling in several shops in Lewes and can be spent in a wide range of local businesses. Many of the notes were sold on eBay at a higher amount. Early numbers and sequenced notes fetched very high prices from foreign collectors.